when it comes to planting your rose cuttings, there's a couple things to keep in mind, and I would like to show you just the process of how I put my rose cuttings in pots, because this can be quite a crucial stage, whether your rose cuttings survive or if they die, basically. Let's have a look. So here we have it. This is actually a mulch that I have found under my pine trees. It's really beautiful, real composty, broken down kind of soil. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a peat moss consistency almost. And I tend to mix that with just some potting mix over here. Not scissors, sorry about that. Just a little bit of potting mix, and then of course some sawdust, because we need that porosity. Gotta have that porosity in our soil mix. So I just spend a few minutes just, kind of blending it all up. And, the most important thing I feel for this is moisture content, because I know from my own past experience how my rose cuttings will die and rot because of my overcare and overlove. Here are some gorgeous, quaint little rose cuttings, and you can see they've got some gorgeous looking calluses. This is what a good rose cutting callus looks like. And this is the formation of a fundamental root system, basically. So let's just say you take some cuttings and you cut all the leaves off, because it's important when you do your cuttings, you want to try and preserve as much energy in the cutting itself in order to develop calluses. And so you must take off all the leaves. I know some people say don't take them all off, but I say do it, because you're trying to conserve as much energy as you can into the actual cutting itself and into the growth of developing a root system. There you go. So, I take everything off, and at the moment you can tell which is the right way up and which is the right way down. But let me tell you, if you are not familiar with your rose bush or the anatomy of your rose bush, it is easy to get excuse me, it is easy to get the bottom and the tops confused. A couple things to remember with working out whether or not your rose cutting is actually facing towards the sun is the buds. Buds are always pointing upwards. They're not going to be as pronounced as this when you first take your cuttings. This is after a month of being in sawdust. So it's obvious and easy to see which way is up, which is the correct way up that your cutting needs to be planted, and also basically in the sawdust. So you can see that your buds will be always facing upwards. And also, your thorns will always be pointing down. Just keep in the back of your mind, your thorns are always pointing down because they are trying to protect the stems and basically the actual rose and the leaves itself. And so the thorns are pointing down to stop predators from climbing up. So you can see the intelligence of a plant. It's phenomenal, and I'm forever blown away. So thorns are always pointing down, buds are always pointing up. And obviously another way to work it out is, and this is obviously not always the case, but it's usually always thicker. The cutting is always thicker at the end. And as you work your way up, I should say, if we're talking about a rose plant or a shrub, the canes of the rose are always thicker at the base, and as they grow they get thinner until they get stronger. So that's another way to work out between the top and the bottom. So let's put these down aside. I haven't yet watered this mix because, you know, just mixing it all up. So you can use potting mix, you can use sawdust, you can use compost from home, but it's a good thing to have a good mix of everything. And I like to get in there with my hands, and then I just use this tool. It's not really a gardening tool, but I am forever improvising. You can use a stick, you can use a spoon, a knife, or an actual proper gardening tool. And I just basically get a cutting, gently put it in the soil. Don't have to worry about having them firmly positioned in the soil right now. You just want to get them in. Don't press them down because you do not want to break those calluses off. You've spent all that time. You can see, did I just chip that? No. They're very delicate and gentle. So you want to use a pencil, you know, that little tall thing that I had, some kind of chisel thing, and get in there and work it. Let that tool do the work for you so you do not damage your calluses, because they are essential for starting that gorgeous root system. So there we have it, just one last one. Now you can see I'm bunching these all up together. It's your choice whether you want to do this. If you use one cutting per pot, it will save you the hassle later on of pulling apart and threading through your rose cuttings. But roses, once they are going and you know, they're going and growing, they are very strong. So you know, it's easy to pull apart your rose cuttings later. The reason I put mine all in one pot is because I'm going to have a lot. But if you have one to a pot, you can basically, when it's time to either plant in the ground or change to a bigger pot, it's easy to just basically pull it out of the pot and put it into a bigger one. So now I'm just going to get a little more soil and, you know, just sprinkling it on. No, you know, no right or wrong way to do this, but just gentle. You know, you've nurtured them for this long. You want to make sure you're, you know, getting your good mix. Just some more sawdust and a little bit more potting mix here. So this is good. Give it a little jiggle. Just reposition things now. And even at this point, you don't need to really squash or press them down. They will work themselves out. They are strong enough and firm enough within this mix to hold their position. And eventually, when they start developing roots, they will grow basically, you know, and hold their own structure around the soil and through the soil. A little bit more sawdust. You know, use your intuition with this and, you know, just work it out. And then some good rainwater. Just gently letting it drain. And this will be fine. If you're doing this in winter, this is ample. Now, this pot is going to my shade house with the others. I'll take you there now. There we have it. There's your new cuttings, going to be beautiful in a few months' time. And there we have it. Our new rose cuttings put in next to some others that I did a couple of weeks ago. You see them gorgeous little pink buds. And this is all you do. Let them go. Just let them go. Now, you know, in winter, you will not need to water these unless, I don't know, unless you don't have anything in terms of rain for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You know, you got to remember, roses are extremely hardy. They don't need much water, particularly in winter. So just let them go and let Mother Nature do the rest. And there you have it. Got some gorgeous date palms grown from seed here also. as you've probably seen from some of my other videos. They're looking a bit grassy right now, but they're happy. Good gardening to all you lovely folks around the world. There's nothing like being a gardener, helping Mother Earth.